Mao Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Shunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. That's so fast. Don't play the cartel so fast. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shubhad Brahmhang Subravadakacharya Asadhara Sadushi Shiman is Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Slava Zbrani Bhakta Slava Shri Guru Shri Gurangi Om Agyanatimanandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksur Undalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Pradana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vasakans Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Dagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakapa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patidana Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad-gita as it is, chapter 6, Sankhya Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, text number 3. Arurukshamanir Yogam Karma Karnam Uchate Yoga Rudasya Tasyaiva Samakarmam Uchate Arukshor Munir Yogam karma karanam uchite yogarudasya tasyaiva samakaranam uchite aruksaramanir yogam karma karanam uchite yogarudasya tasyaiva karma karanam uchite aruksaramanir yogam karma karanam uchite yogarudasya tasyaiva samakaranam uchite aruksaramanir yogam karma karanam uchite yogarudasya tasyaiva samakaranam uchite. Ladies. Aruksaramanir yogam karma karanam uchite yogarudasya tasyaiva samakaranam uchite. Aruruksho, one who's just begun yoga. Let's try that again. One who has just began yoga. Mune, of the sage. Yogam, the eightfold yoga system. Karma, work. Karanam, the means. Uchite is said to be. Yoga, eightfold yoga. Arudasya, of one who's obtained. Tasya, his. Eva, certainly. Shama, cessation of all material activities. Karanam, the means. Uchite is said to be. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. For one who is a neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. Please repeat. For one who is a neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. Purport. The process of linking oneself with the Supreme is called yoga. It may be compared to a ladder for obtaining the topmost spiritual realization. This ladder begins from the lowest material condition of the living entity and rises up to perfect self-realization and pure spiritual life. According to various elevations, different parts of the ladder are known by different names. But all in all, the complete ladder is called yoga and may be divided into three parts, namely Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. The beginning of the ladder is called the Yoga Rurukshu stage, and the highest rung is called Yoga Ruda. Concerning the Eightfold Yoga system, attempts in the beginning to enter into meditation through regular principles of life and practice of different sitting postures, which are more or less bodily exercises, are considered fruitive activities. All such activities lead to achieving perfect mental equilibrium to control the senses. When one is accomplished in the practice of meditation, he ceases all disturbing mental activities. Krishna conscious person, however, is situated in the beginning on the platform of meditation because he always thinks of Krishna. And being constantly engaged in the service of Krishna is considered to have ceased all material activities. So the verse again, Arurukshar manir yogam karyam uchite yogarudasya tasyaiva samat karyam uchite. For one who is a neophyte in the Eightfold Yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. Namo Vishnu Vraya Krishna Pristaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Taramane Namaste Saraswatam Deve Gauravani Vacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskyatyade Sadarane. Bhagavad-gita deals with Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And therefore every chapter, that's what it deals with in different ways or different aspects. As we heard, the first 6 chapters of the Bhagavad-gita, the living entity is described as non-material spirit soul capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different kinds of yogas. So that's what we're dealing with now, is the 6th chapter. We've gone through Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and now we're dealing with Ashtanga Yoga, meditation on Krishna. But every yoga, whether it be Karma Yoga, starts with controlling the senses. Everything depends upon controlling the senses, including the mind. And there's different degrees of controlling the senses, including the mind. Because without controlling the senses and the mind, then there's no question of yoga. Trividam narakasyedam dwaram nashitam atmanaha kama krodha tata lobhas tasmat etam trayam trijet. There are 3 gates leading to hell, namely lust, anger, and greed. Every sane person should become free from these 3 modes because they lead to the degradation of the self. In other words, Karma Yoga has some idea of knowledge and some idea of detachment from the results, dutiful work. While Jnana Yoga has more knowledge of Brahman especially, something of Paramatma, generally not much about Krishna. That's more the higher stages of Ashtanga, that Krishna is the object. So there's more detachment from sense gratification, and there's more knowledge of oneself as a spiritual being. And in the stage of Ashtanga Yoga, the aim is clearer. Generally speaking, 2 types of people take to Ashtanga Yoga. The personalists, like Shaulika Muni, who was meditating in trance when Pariksha Maharaj entered. He was actually meditating on the Supersoul. Or we have Kardama Muni, who was meditating on the Supersoul for 10,000 years. Because we may not have 10 years, but he had 10,000 years to meditate on the Supersoul. So he's also, as Krishna says, Sarvabhutastam Yomam Bhajant Nikatma Astita Sarvata Vatmano Nopi Sayogi Maya Vartate. That one who knows that me and the Supersoul within all beings are the same, worships me and remains in me in all circumstances. Therefore, that kind of meditation is a valid type of spiritual meditation. Sometimes the meditators, the yogis, they misunderstand what they see in the heart to be themselves. They think they're the Supersoul. Look how beautiful I am. I always knew I was beautiful, but now I can actually see myself, how beautiful I am. They think they're the Supersoul. Or they think that actually their aim of life is to merge into the Supersoul, which is even worse. Like they merge into Brahman, there's also a possibility of merging into the Supersoul, one's identity. So these are all different stages of what is described here as, well, the first stages, especially karma yoga and jnana yoga, are considered to be on the material platform because there's some desire, material desire. In other words, without knowing Krishna clearly as the aim of what we're doing, even the aim of liberation is a material desire. Even trying to merge in Brahman, becoming part of the Brahman is a material desire. Because that's what material means. Material doesn't mean this is material, this is material, this is material. Material means absence of Krishna consciousness. That's what material is. Actually, there is no such thing as material. Material is within our consciousness, that's all. As it says, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahaivira, Brahmagno, Brahmahutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahmakarma Samadhina. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. So that we found in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita. In text 24, person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because his full contribution to spiritual activities in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. And here Prabhupada writes, the materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness as set forth in the Gita. This process is generally known as yajna, or activities, sacrifices meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Krishna. The more the activities of the material world are performed in Krishna consciousness or for Vishnu only, the more the atmosphere becomes spiritualized by complete absorption. The word Brahman means spiritual. The Lord is spiritual, and the rays of his transcendental body are called Brahmajyoti, his spiritual effulgence. Everything that exists is situated in the Brahmajyoti, but when the Jyoti is covered by illusion, Maya or sense gratification, it is called material. The material veil can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. Thus the offering for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent of such an offering or contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor and the results are all combined together, Brahman, or the Absolute Truth. The Absolute Truth covered by Maya is called matter. Matter dovetailed for the cause of the Absolute Truth regains its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman, or the Supreme. When the mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, it is said to be in samadhi or trance. Anything done in such transcendental consciousness is called yajna, or sacrifice for the Absolute. In that condition of spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer or leader of the performance, and the result of ultimate gain, everything becomes one in the Absolute, the Supreme Brahman. That is the method of Krishna consciousness. In other words, everything we're seeing is actually spiritual, but we're thinking it's something other. We're thinking of so many things. And the beginning to theoretically understand that everything comes from Krishna, everything is Krishna's property, that's called karma yoga. To understand that and work. Of course, in the Vedic culture, there was duties to perform. And all the duties were focused around yajna. The Shudras would assist, the Vaishyas would get the materials for the yajna, the ghee, the butter, the gold that was necessary they paid taxes, so that the gold and everything else that was necessary to pay for the fire's place and the wood and all the different ingredients would be there. Brahmin priests would have to be invited, so everyone needed maintenance. So the Vaishyas would provide the maintenance for the sacrifice. The Brahmins would perform the sacrifice, and the Kshatriyas would put it all together. And what was the result? Anad bhavati bhutani parjana ana sambhava jagna paviti Anad bhavati bhutani parjana ana sambhava jagna bhavati parjanyo jagna karma samudbhava. That all living entities subsist on food grains. So life was simpler. People didn't need a smartphone. They were smart enough. They didn't need factories. They didn't need cars and airplanes. They didn't need any of these things. Of course, the demigods had these things. Also, the people, even in Satya Yuga, they had the transportation. They had a bullock's cart. Easy maintenance. They just let the bull eat the grass, and you got the fuel. You can fuel your bullock cart just with some grass. And there's plenty of grass. All these things, all the complications were absent, but what they understood that they needed was food. Nice food. And for that they needed good rain, periodic rain. They needed sunshine and rain and fresh air and things. So, but ultimately they needed some food. Food also included not only what we eat, but also it included the air we eat. Things have to be arranged for our eyes too. Natural settings with swans. These are food for the eyes. They make the eyes soft. Now people's eyes are hungry for some stimulation because they're not satisfied. Their ears are hungry. Everyone's just hungry all the time for some satisfaction. For all the senses, the eyes, they have to see violence or sex or else, and even that, then they become even hungrier. They become addicted to dissatisfaction. And then the ears have to hear about some horrible thing going on. The tongue has to taste something terrible. The nose is smelling all kinds of toxic fumes. If they're not, anyhow, the senses are not very well satisfied. Why? Because there's no fresh air in most parts of the world. There's no fresh water. There's no fresh food. There's no pleasing sounds being emanated. It's all very disturbing for the most part. And if they like music, they listen to music. It used to be classical music, dedicated to God, then it reverted to something about revolution or whatever. Then it's like just madness. Like the music sounds like someone steps on a cat's tail and the cat's screaming. That's the music. Not very actually satisfying and pleasing, disturbing, because people's minds are disturbed. They need something more disturbing than their minds to overcome their disturbance of their mind. So in that way people are unsatisfied. But in the Vedic culture, when people are actually, they knew what their duty, and duty doesn't mean just, you have a job and you're doing what you're supposed to do. Duty means Yagya Vishnu. Otherwise it's not a duty, it's not karma, it's vikarma. Vikarma means sinful activity, one that degrades one into the lower species of life and disturbs the whole atmosphere. Nowadays, because people are killing animals, therefore, and they kill the animals, as I said, because they've killed the animals, therefore they need tractors and factories which are destroying the atmosphere, the whole planet, just because of animal killing, because they don't want to live simply in harmony with nature for different reasons. Therefore they're destroying the planet, destroying themselves. So, in the beginning it says, Arurukshara Manir Yogam. In the beginning there's karma, but karma, real karma. that people understand. In the beginning, the yogi sits there, and what he's trying to do, he's trying to control his mind and senses. And how does he do that? Yama niyama. Being truthful, being clean, Ishvara Padana, worshipping the Supreme Lord, not stealing, not committing violence. This is all preliminary to make the mind peaceful. Because if the mind is not peaceful, if it's not satisfied and peaceful, then there's no way we can actually think about anything for any length of time, what to speak of thinking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are preliminary, yama, just becoming a human being, more or less. And then you're qualified to at least sit there and try to sit there in the actual yoga system is not about all these contortionist postures. Actually, there was no, in the official yoga system book, such as the Yoga Samhita, the Patanjali Sutras, the Jiranda Samhita, which described Hatha Yoga. There's only, in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, there's only one line about asana. That's all it says, sukha and sthira. It should be comfortable and you can hold it for a long time. That's all it says about yoga, the asanas. And where did all these other things come from? Putting your foot behind your neck, and then you're closer to heaven. No, it comes from the contortionists in Europe who are making money by putting on exhibitions. Anyhow, it's a long story, but people have misled what actually what even Ashtanga yoga really means. It doesn't mean to work out like in a gym. Prabhupada one time he said he was going to show the real yoga in the Gurukul. He said, set aside a room in the Gurukul and lay a kusha grass down on it, some kusha grass, then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. And invite people to come and meditate there by fixing the mind on one point, maybe a point on the wall or something. That's yoga. No one came, by the way. I don't think they set it up either. No one would be interested. But that's actually yoga, according to the authorized text. In any case, in the beginning, to be able to sit down in one place requires purification of the mind, purification of the activities, and then one can sit down steadily in one place. And then how to fertilize that is by pranayama. Because what gets restless when your body's strong first is the mind, especially. But by pranayama, the mind becomes satisfied because the mind needs food. And that food is prana, energy. And through pranayama, the mind would actually experience what might be considered material bliss, because it's actually getting real energy. And it feels satisfied that it's floating in an energy of peacefulness, actually, the prana. And then from pranayama, of course, there's pratyahara. Then the more one is situated in pranayama, the more the mind becomes filled with prana, one can withdraw the mind from external energy looking for satisfaction with the senses, because the senses are satisfied already with that material, all the food that they need. Just like when we eat food, what are we actually doing? What actually gives us energy? Is it the physical apple that we're eating that gives us energy? Not really. How do we know that? That it's not the apple that's giving us, the physical apple that's giving us energy. Have you ever been hungry and you ate an apple and immediately felt that you were satisfied to some degree? Did the apple immediately go through your stomach and assimilate into the... No, it's actually the prana. That's the prana in the apple, that when you eat it, there's a place in the upper palate where actually the prana is extracted from the food that we eat. And it circulates in the whole body, and the senses become satisfied immediately. Similarly, the air, if it has prana, you go to the beach, not a contaminated beach, but a nice beach with nice water in it, not near a factory. You breathe the air, you feel satisfied. Just being there, they say positive ions or something they call it. Prana. Similarly, the food, the air, the water. If you ever taste real good water, fresh water coming out of a stream, immediately you feel refreshed because you extract prana from it. So pranayama and then pratyahara, then one can withdraw oneself. Then actual yoga, then actual transcendence begins at dhyana. Just thinking about Krishna, that's all. What are the yogis actually? What is the yogi's perfection? They're just thinking about Krishna, the same way we do. They hear about Krishna, and within their imagination, they make an image of Krishna according to the authorized text, and they think about Krishna. That's called dhyana. Now, luckily, we don't have to sit in a posture all day long, trying to calm our minds down. Of course, we should not steal. We should maintain brahmacharya. We should believe in God. All these things are preliminary. But we don't have to go through the asana. You can look around, who's doing an asana right now? Who can do an asana? Who has a comfortable, steady position right now you can hold if we went on for 3 hours here? Who couldn't do it? And I doubt whether the yogis do it either. They have to go through lifetimes of practice for that. Living in a pure atmosphere, doing some exercise every day, so they can sit steadily. It takes a lot of training from the beginning of life to be able to do that. So even held a simple posture. But dhyana is just thinking about Krishna. And then dharana, to hold the thought. That's all dharana means. Just holding the thought of Krishna within one's consciousness over an extended period of time. And then anusmriti, continuously remembering Krishna, remembering all the details, constant meditation, absorption, experiencing or feeling Krishna's presence, and then samadhi. One is constantly feeling Krishna's presence and remembering Him. So that's the yoga process. It's the same process we're following. We just have an easier way of doing it because the object of our meditation appears whenever we chant Hare Krishna and listen to it. Whenever we see the deities, we're directly engaged in meditation on Krishna. That's what we're actually doing. When we see the deities, if we have our glasses on, then that's the meditation. We're seeing what the yogis are spending thousands of years trying to see. Because we may not see it as pure as the yogi who took 10,000 years to purify himself, but that's what they're trying to see, and we're seeing it right directly. We hear about Krishna, they also have to remember what they heard about Krishna. There's really not difference, but most people don't follow the yoga process very key. They don't even know what it is. They've just made some imitation process, and they call it yoga. Everything is yoga. They have hot yoga, cold yoga. They have naked yoga. They have all kinds of, everything is yoga nowadays. But they don't follow the actual yoga process, and therefore they don't get the result. They may get, healthier. They did, as Prabhupada wrote to my roommate when he, in 1968, when we were writing to Prabhupada, we were living outside the temple. He wrote to Prabhupada, and I wrote to Prabhupada too, and Prabhupada gave me a completely different answer. But he wrote to my roommate because we were both doing Hatha Yoga, what we thought was Hatha Yoga. And Prabhupada wrote to my roommate, he said, actually, this Hatha Yoga is just to so you can increase your digestion. So it's not really necessary. To me, he wrote something else, but anyhow. I didn't ask him about yoga. I don't think I asked him, but he didn't even bother mentioning. He just told me, stick to the activities of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we'll go through this chapter and it may seem a little different, but actually it's the same thing. But in one sense, for some people, if they hear it, it's the type of thing that they want to do, because they're really in the bodily concept of life. Not that we're not in the bodily concept of life, but they're really into the bodily concept of life. And exercising the body is very appealing to them. Getting strong and healthy, even to be able to sit in some posture for a long time, it's appealing to them. It's to what they're interested in. So therefore, maybe one day we will have, in the temple, we'll have a room here, we'll put kusa grass on the ground and cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth, put a circle on the wall, and ask people and invite people to come and sit there and meditate on the circle. We'll call it bridge preaching. But that may take some time. Better to introduce the Hare Krišna mantra. So I'll stop there. Any questions? Yes.
Okay, you said 2 points and I think that I don't understand, or it's something strange for me. One means material, that is absence of Krishna, consciousness. And the other, you say that everything
is spiritual, Duhovni.
If Krishna created everything, is that then not everything Krishna?
Yeah, I didn't understand the first question. What was that about, material?
So, first point was that material means absence of Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
And then the other point is that everything we see is Krishna.
Spiritual.
So how do these two go together?
They go together very nicely. There is no such thing as material, actually. Everything is spiritual. But when we want to think that there's something outside of Krishna's property, then we're covered over to think like that. We're deluded into thinking that somehow or another we're separate from Krishna, or anything is separate from Krishna. That everything is completely under Krishna's control. And when we want to think that things are not under Krishna's control, we put into illusion. So we think that there's something outside of Krishna. And when we want to think that actually everything is under Krishna's control and I should serve Krishna, then we're put under the spiritual energy, and then we see everything and everyone is in relationship to Krishna. We see it's all Krishna's energy. It all came from him. It's simultaneously one but different from him. The Krishna is in everyone's heart, directing everyone either to self-realization or to illusion, depending on what one wants. But since Krishna is the source of everything, how can anything be different from Krishna?
I was confused by the first point that everything that's material means it's the absence of Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, that it's because everything doesn't. When our consciousness changes, doesn't mean that everything changes. Like if I'm Krishna conscious, and I see the super soul in your heart, and I see you as a soul, doesn't mean that somehow or another, by my vision you get burnt up or something. Your body disappears, or it changes. Instead of one head, you get two heads. Nothing really changes except my consciousness, my vision of things, my experience of things. Anything else? Thank you very much. Kvala Grantaraj Bhagavad-gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.
Prahladananda Maharaj ki jai.